Euromaxx highlights Lifestyle Europe in today's show. Branching out, Swiss landscape architect Enzo Enea and his tree museum. Mountain man, legendary climber Reinhold Messner shares his philosophy. In focus, the photographic art of Thomas Struth. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Robin Merrill.
Hello and welcome to the show. The world's biggest fair for contemporary and modern art opened in Switzerland earlier this week. Art Basel is in its 41st year now, and for the last 10 years, the Berlin photographer Gabriele Heidecker has been taking photos there. But it's not really to document the event. She's actually creating her own works of art, depicting the relationship between art, artists, buyers and sellers. This year, Euromaxx joined her at the exhibition.
The Art Basel is a crowded affair. Gabriele Heidecker is photographing all the coming and going, and the pictures she takes of the art fair are in themselves works of art. The photographer is spending 6 days at the event, taking up to 200 pictures a day, pictures of the gallery stands from all over the world, of the exhausted gallery owners, and the stressed-out visitors. This is the 13th time that Gabriele Heidecker is attending the art fair, and she's become a familiar face. The Berlin-based photographer has been taking pictures of art fairs around the world for the last 10 years, but she's intrigued by Art Basel.
What I like is the density of artwork and the way people come here in their droves because they really want to see it all. And also to be seen themselves, to draw attention to themselves. There's a very special energy in the air.
And it's that energy that she wants to capture in her images. To this end, she uses a lot of sharp contrasts, reflections, and attention to detail. Gabriele Heidecker knows exactly which parts of the art fair she wants to explore. She's got it all mapped out. But often she'll find herself distracted by an unusual sight on her way.
It's an interesting scene. It's like a stage set. Of course, I will go to a certain stand and take photos of certain people, but those are mainly for the archives. And then there are the photos where I catch a certain person in a very specific situation.
Gabriele Heidecker knows the art industry and its protagonists inside out. Today she sneaks a snap of gallery owner Max Hetzler and Judy Lübke, one of Germany's most colourful gallery owners. Heidecker's also photographed art enthusiast Karl Lagerfeld, as well as artist Georg Baselitz. 3 years ago, she published a selection of her art fair pictures. The book includes a picture of Caspar Koenig, Germany's best-known curator and museum director.
Great book. Nice pictures. Thank you. Haven't seen this before.
The new photos will be included in a new art fair album. For Gabriele Heidecker, an art fair is the perfect place to create art of your own.
Now, many people collect stamps, coins, or really any number of things, but I've never heard of a man who collects trees. But that's exactly what Enzo Enea does. He's actually one of Europe's most sought-after landscape architects, and he hates to see beautiful trees destroyed when he's redesigning somebody's garden. So he's found a home for them in a specially designed tree park near Zurich.
These trees are hundreds of years old, and they look like they've been growing here for many generations. But they were only planted a few weeks ago. This yew tree resembles a Japanese bonsai, but it's actually several meters taller. It's part of the Tree Museum exhibition. It's all the creation of renowned Swiss landscape architect Enzo Enea.
This is a collection of trees that I've gathered over the span of about 20 years. They come from construction sites. They would have been torn down to make way for new buildings. I needed to build a space to display them all, and I wanted the trees to be seen as objects, so I set them off against these blocks of sandstone.
The first tree in the collection is a Japanese maple tree that's around 150 years old. The 50 trees standing here on this land come from around the world, but all belong to the same climate zone, and each has its own unique story.
This chestnut tree was the central message board in the town. People would post news and notes on it. You can still see some staples here. We were able to transplant it successfully, and we're really happy that the tree is still doing well. We hope it'll be here for another 150 years.
The trees aren't easy to move. They can weigh up to 10 tons. Enzo Enea and his team use a special technique to carefully clip the roots. They have to make sure the old trees will take root and grow in the new location. Last year, Enea planted pine trees on this private lakefront property in Switzerland. The new terrace now blends effortlessly into the woods. Enzo Enea has already designed and created 600 gardens around the world. His list of famous clients include Prince Charles, singer Tina Turner, and the Queen of Bahrain. Enzo Enea employs a team of more than 140 specialists, including sculptors and lighting experts.
We see the garden as an extended living space. Everything else is fairly standard, like the location of the houses and the buildings.
Enea took over his father's garden ornament company 15 years ago. The company has grown to become a horticulture powerhouse that's known around the world. Enea discovered his fascination for trees along the way.
I took the trees out of the garden and moved them to a separate piece of land and started to take care of them. That's how my passion for collecting trees started. It was always related to my work too. But I developed such a love for these trees that I have a hard time selling them.
Enzo Enea's favorite trees take pride of place on 10 hectares of land by Lake Zurich in Switzerland.
It's always nice when you're given the freedom to design. It's clear that we've worked geometrically here, but there's always room for spontaneity.
A new museum displaying centuries-old trees, a sign of respect from an enthusiast for these unusual collector's items.
Italian mountaineer Reinhold Messner was the first man ever to conquer all of the world's highest peaks. That's 14 of them over 8,000 metres high. And he climbed them all without the aid of extra oxygen. He's also written 63 books, been a member of the European Parliament, and is currently working on his own mountain museum. It's rather amazing that he found time to talk to us, really, but he did.
At 65, Reinhold Messner shows no signs of slowing down. The veteran adventurer continues to write books and produce films, and he's currently working on a unique project in South Tyrol, the Messner Mountain Museum, spread across 5 locations. How would you describe your character?
I'm from South Tyrol, so I'm stubborn as a mountain farmer. And I'm passionate in the way I live my life and also in conflicts.
Who's your personal hero?
There's no one really that I'd consider a role model, but there are people in the arts and mountain climbing that I admire. Shackleton, for example, the crazy Irishman who wanted to cross the South Pole before the First World War. Paul Preuss, a Viennese Jew. He was the first to realize what the effect on the sport of mountain climbing would be once it was made safer. Or Christoph Ransmayr, an Austrian author who wrote those wonderful books like The Last World or The Terrors of Ice and Darkness. He takes readers to those last remote regions where I've also been. He wrote a mountain novel, among others.
What would be an irresistible temptation for you?
When I'm completely absorbed by a project and love the project, then I can't tear myself away.
Do you have any words of wisdom?
I generally say people should judge me for what I've done. I'm a doer and not a talker. I've done a lot of different things and changed paths many times. When I get good at something and it becomes routine, it gets boring. Even knowledge and possessions get boring. But to start something new, to develop an interest in a project, that's what fulfills me and carries me. I do it all with small steps, not in huge strides. I do one thing with all my concentration and then the next.
Do you still have an unfulfilled dream?
I have many unfulfilled dreams. First, I have to finish my museum project. I still have one more museum to build. I'm not ruling out making even more films about adventure, pushing beyond the limits to the edges of the earth. It's the best possible way to tell about that world, which most people won't get a chance to visit.
What drives you bananas?
Tardiness, sloppiness, and of course all this self-importance that's often on display. And this announcement hysteria. People are always announcing something, but nothing happens. Most adventurers today make announcements and they're not even out there. They don't know what it's like to freeze, to starve, or to die.
What's your perfect day?
I don't have one. Every day is different.
A fascinating man. Now, we've been having a look at some rather exclusive clubs here in Germany. In spite of the recession, private clubs are thriving. Perhaps people are even more determined to enjoy themselves. Who knows? We're going to one of the top golf clubs in Bavaria, a private dining club here in Berlin. But first, do you happen to be the proud owner of one of the legendary Mercedes sports cars, the 300 SL? If so, this is the club for you.
A drab parking lot in the Elbe Sandstone Mountains is about to be transformed. The Mercedes 300 SL Club makes a stop here, and within minutes, 85 roadsters have enriched the cheap tarmac with $1 million in value. The sports cars, all more than 50 years old, have been lovingly restored. The owners have to be in equally good shape.
You have to stay flexible, otherwise you won't manage. And your girth in the front has to fit too. But there's a special fold-up arrangement for people with a large belly.
The day's destination is the Bastei near Dresden. Club members like to get out on the road. There are 330 members from all over the world.
We don't have a club in Denmark for this car. Only 2 of this type are registered there. The others are in the museum.
A shame, really, because the A300 SL is designed to be driven as fast as possible. The legendary fold-up door is based on a Mercedes racing car. When it was unveiled in 1954, the 215-horsepower vehicle was a sensation. Only 3,258 of them were built over the next 10 years, and most of them were sold in the US. In the meantime, many have returned to Europe, and that makes Thomas Struth a happy man. For 8 years, the Mercedes dealer from Oldenburg has been president of the German SL Club.
If you have the time and the money, you can spend the whole year going from one great event to another all over the world. Because people like these cars everywhere, at vintage car gatherings, rallies, outings and events of all kinds.
In May, there's the Mille Miglia in Italy. In September, the Goodwood Revival in Britain. And the Carrera Panamericana in Mexico in October is also a must. There are so many opportunities to show off these vintage cars at public events. An inconspicuous rear entrance to Berlin's Hotel Adlon. A buzzer hidden in the sober entry hallway is all that indicates the way to the city's most exclusive club. Guests are picked up in the elevator. Discretion is top priority at the China Club. Members pay an initial fee of 10,000 euros and then 1,500 euros annually. The atmosphere is that of China in the colonial period, a universe of precious art and handmade furnishings. A luxurious refuge covering 1,500 square meters above the roofs of Berlin, where the 700 members can entertain in private.
The club is organized so that it isn't as overrun as other restaurants. The point here is privacy, and that you should be able to converse in peace. Of course, there are also the club's legendary parties. There are receptions, and they provide the club with a wonderful contrast.
The cuisine is also Asian. Chef Tam Kok Kong was hired from Singapore. He spoils guests with dim sum and fresh prawns with wasabi. The club was founded by Anna Maria Jagdfeld in 2003. She traveled the world collecting furnishings and even designed some of the pieces herself.
I thought, what's missing in Berlin? Berlin is lacking an international society club. Not a gentleman's club or a business club, but a society club, where women like to go as well as men.
A third of the China Club members live abroad and are only occasionally in Berlin. The hostess wants to offer them a home away from home. A lot further south, in Neuburg, Bavaria, another exclusive circle. Today there's a champagne reception at the Wittelsbach Golf Club. Here it's about much more than just smashing balls down the fairway.
Golf isn't just sport, it's also about culture, entertainment, and the exchange of ideas.
Those who get accepted as members join a club headed by Prince Max von Bayern. Ulrich Bartz has belonged to this exclusive group for 21 years.
It's a mini vacation. My clinic is 20 kilometers from here. Whenever I have 2 or 3 hours spare time, I drive over and play a few holes alone or with friends. I switch off completely and then I head back to work.
The clubhouse is the heart of the facility. The view from the terrace sweeps across 67 hectares. To play on them costs around 1,600 euros a year, and that only after the princely sum of 5,000 euros initial membership fee has been paid in full. Great players are immortalized in gold leaf in the study. Those who struggle with their game can always sublimate their pain with the exquisite cuisine presented by Irish chef Brian Dwyer. For over 500 years, the park has belonged to the royal house of Wittelsbach. The nobility once bred horses here, but in 1988, an 18-hole golf course was created. These days, the Wittelsbach Prince, Max von Bayern, presides over and plays the course. Other celebrities have also been spotted on the greens.
Former Bavarian State Premier Edmund Stoiber has played here, as well as former Chancellor Gerhard Schröder, VW board members, and so on. All the really big players, without the public knowing about it.
The Wittelsbach Golf Club could see a lot more big players in the future. It's hoping to host the prestigious Ryder Cup in 2018.
Thomas Struth is one of Germany's most successful photographers. He actually studied painting under the great Gerhard Richter before turning to the camera. And over the past 3 decades, he's accumulated an impressive body of work. He chooses a particular subject, then immerses himself in it before moving on to another. Now, a museum in the Swiss city of Zurich is holding a comprehensive retrospective of his work.
Thomas Struth at the Physics Institute at the University of Zurich, where he finds motifs for his new theme, technology and research.
Technology fascinates me because I have the feeling that we are headed for a point where you can say, okay, technology is wonderful and helps us in many ways, but we shouldn't forget social and societal efforts among ourselves and in our dealings with nature. We shouldn't say nature's not playing along, so let's just chuck in a bit of technology.
Struth's current retrospective includes 7 previously unseen recent works. For 3 years, he's been photographing complex technological facilities in various countries. In Zurich, they're exhibited alongside about 90 other pictures from 3 decades. Struth's work is constantly evolving. His focus shifts all the time.
It has less to do with reinventing myself than with how I simply change as a person and how new things come into my life. New things fascinate me, and I'm interested in new problems.
Thomas Struth began his career in the late 1970s with pictures of streets. Strictly geometrical black and white pictures taken in Europe and the United States. He gained international renown in the 1990s with what were known as his museum photographs, which captured people in front of historic paintings in museums.
The question is, what are people doing there? Why are they there? The answer is that museums provide a protected place where people can reflect on history and on perspectives of history provided by other people before them.
A central group of works are the portraits of families around the world that Thomas Struth has been taking for some 20 years. In them, the viewer gets an inkling of how the families themselves are structured. Struth has become friends with many of the people he's photographed, like this French couple in New York.
He had his office across from my gallery in New York. I agreed to drink a beer with him, and then he greeted me wearing these socks. He was a really casual guy, very friendly. That made me curious about getting to know his family.
Since the late 1990s, Struth has often used landscapes as a motif. The depths of the forest still fascinate him to this day. In his pictures, Struth aims to shine a light on complex visual structures. That also goes for his current work with complex, man-made technical facilities. Struth regards this photo as one of his most important works in recent years. It was taken in 2008 at the Cape Canaveral Spaceport in Florida. Struth spent more than 2 years preparing his retrospective show in Zurich.
It means a lot to me to have this exhibition, because I seldom see my own work in this form. And what's very important to me for the future is to see what I want to develop further. Retrospective means looking back, and without looking back, you can't look ahead either.
In the future, Thomas Struth plans to concentrate even more on photographing technology. He says his travels in the world of technology have only just begun.
And you'll find more reports from Euromaxx on YouTube. If you're interested, just type in Deutsche Welle English and the choice is yours. That's all for now, though, so until next time, bye-bye.